Kabuhay! Hello, good day everyone. I am Kian Marie Laksina, and today I'll be talking about conservation, why it matters, the principle behind it, and how it applied here in Philippines. So, what exactly is conservation? Simply put, it's the responsible management and protection of natural resources or heritage sites to make sure they last, not just for us, but for future generations. In short, it's about taking care of our treasures so they can keep benefiting everyone. So, why is conservation important? Well, it helps protect our cultural identity and community pride, ensure historical and cultural landmarks survive long term, support sustainable tourism and local economies, and also to preserve authentic experiences for visitors so tourists get the real deal, not a copy. The NHCP, or the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, has some key principles we always follow. First, least intervention is best. Don't fix what isn't broken. Second, preserve before restoring, restore before reconstructing. Third, use objective restoration methods to give the object a continued life. Fourth, restore materials. Don't just recreate the monument. Fifth, keep originality intact. Remove only what hinders correct interpretation. And sixth, reversibility principle. Any additions should be removable if later found harmful. Seventh, conservation should support development without displacing heritage. And 8, never intimate, falsify, or compete with the original. And lastly, restoration should be practical, not romantic, avoid luxury or superficial masking. The Venice Charter also guides us in conservation and restoration. It says that monuments should be maintained carefully, respecting their decorations, mass, and color. Socially useful purposes are okay, but integral artwork should only be removed if necessary for preservation. Respect original materials and authentic documents. Avoid guesswork. Any new work should be distinct and contemporary, using traditional techniques unless modern methods are proven effective. Replacements should harmonize but remain distinguishable, respecting all historical periods and not taking away from the site's value. So there are different types of conservation, which are the preventive, restoration, corrective or remedial, and rehabilitation. So preventive measures stop damage before it happens. Restoration brings a site back to original state, and corrective actions fix existing problems, and rehabilitation allows heritage sites to be used in modern ways while keeping their value intact. Now let's see how these principles work here in the Philippines. So in Luzon, we have the Vegan Heritage Villa in Ilocos Sur. This UNESCO World Heritage Sites preserves Spanish colonial houses along Calle Crisologo. Conservation here focuses on restoring houses using original materials like wood, brick, and copies, while also adapting them for modern use as museums, inns, and cafes. Strict rules ensures the facades remain untouched. All of this help vegans stay authentic even as the city faces urbanization and modernization pressures. So, moving to the Visayas, there's Miag-Ao Church in Iloilo, a stunning Baroque-style church built in 1786. Known for its intricate relief carving, it's a UNESCO site as well. Conservation here combines preventive and corrective strategies. Regular monitoring, cleaning, repairing cracks, and controlling pests. They've even built disaster risk reduction measures to protect the church from earthquakes and typhoons. The goal is to preserve both its structure and its historical beauty. Finally, in Mindanao, we have the Mount Apo Natural Park, spanning Davao del Sur and Cotabato. As the highest peak in the Philippines, It's home to unique biodiversity, including the Philippine eagle. Conservation here focuses on preventing damage while involving the community. Trekking routes are regulated, waste is carefully managed, and indigenous groups like the Bagobo and Manobo play an active role in protecting the park. These efforts address challenges like over-tourism and environmental degradation.
Good day everyone! Mabuhay! I'm Rosan Paringit. Today, I'll be talking about Site Management Plans or SMPs. A site management plan is a strategic framework that guides how a heritage site is protected, used, and developed in a sustainable way. Its main purpose is to make sure that site is preserved for future generation while still allowing people to learn from it. Its experience is cultures and enjoy it through tourism. Now, let's look at the importance of site management plans for UNESCO World Heritage Site. First, they protect the site outstanding universal value or OUV. This refers to the special qualities, whether cultural, natural, and historical, that makes the site globally important. Without an SMP, this value could be lost due to neglect, overuse, or damage. Second, SMP guides sustainable tourism and visitor management. Heritage sites often attract many tourists, which is good for local communities. But if not managed properly, too many visitors can harm the site. With an SMP, tourism is organized so that visitors can enjoy the place while still keeping it safe. Third, they preserve cultural, historical, and natural heritage. This means protecting not only monuments and landscape but also traditions, stories, and biodiversity connected to the site. Lastly, ensure long-term conservation for future generations. They provide a clear plan so that the site remains intact and meaningful not just for us today, but also for people in the future. Next, let's talk about the objectives of site management plans. The first objective is protecting the outstanding universal value or OUV. This means making sure that the unique cultural, natural, or historical qualities that makes the site special are preserved and not damaged by human activity or environmental threats. The second objective is managing visitor access and experience. Many heritage sites receive thousands of visitors, so it's important to control how people enter, move around, and interact with the site. This ensures that tourists enjoy their visit while the site remains safe and well preserved. And lastly, the third objective is ensure site sustainability. This involves balancing conservation with development so that the site continues to provide benefits such as education, tourism, and cultural identity without being overused or destroyed. Now, let's move on the components of site management plan. These are the key parts that makes the plan effective. First is the site description and significance. This gives an overview of site including its history, cultural, and natural importance and why it is valuable. Second, the mission and goals. This outlines what the site wants to achieve in the future, such as preservations, educations, or sustainable tourism. Third, the policies and guidelines. These are the rules and direction on how the site should be protected, used, and managed. Next is the risk assessment and mitigation. This identifies possible trends like natural disaster, overcrowding, or neglect, and provides solutions to reduce or prevent damage. Another important part is the visitor management plan. This ensures that tourists have a meaningful experience without harming the site. Then we have the maintenance and conservation strategy. This focuses on taking care for site physical structure, natural areas, and cultural practices to keep them in a good condition. Also include our stakeholder rules. These explain the responsibilities of local communities, government, organization, and other groups involved in managing the site. And lastly, the budget and resources allocations. These ensure that there is enough funding, manpower, and materials to implement the plan effectively.
Good day everyone and mabuhay! I am Janelle A. Fabrigar. Today I'll be discussing the steps in developing a site management plan or SMP, the challenges we encounter in its implementation, and how conservation principles can be integrated to make SMPs more effective and sustainable. Steps in developing an SMP. First, the primary purpose must be defined. This means clearly identifying why the plan is being created, whether it's to preserve cultural heritage, protect the environment, or manage tourism. Having a clear purpose gives direction to the entire process. Second, it is important to involve impartial experts. These are specialists who can provide objective insights and technical knowledge to ensure that the plan is evidence-based and not biased by local or political interest. Third, SMPs need to be integrated into planning systems. This ensures that management plans are not treated as standalone documents but are linked with broader development and policy frameworks for consistency and sustainability. And finally, there must be local level monitoring and implementation. Community involvement and continuous assessment help ensure that the plan remains practical, effective, and responsive to real-life conditions. Of course, there are challenges in developing and carrying out an SMP. One major concern is environmental challenges such as natural disasters, climate change, and biodiversity loss. Another challenge is human-induced threats, including illegal activities, unregulated tourism, and urban expansion that put heritage sites or ecosystem at risk. We also face financial and resource constraints, since limited funding and manpower often hinder the full implementation of management plans. And lastly, there are governance and policy issues, where weak enforcement, lack of coordination, or conflicting interests can undermine the effectiveness of SMPs. To address these challenges, it is crucial to integrate conservation principles into SMPs. These start with a clear definition of the Outstanding Universal Value or OUV, which highlights what makes a site unique and worth protecting. Next, baseline documentation and prioritization help in understanding the site's current condition and identifying which areas need urgent attention. Then, we move into strategic conservation planning, which ensures that preservation efforts are well structured and long-term. Equally important is integrated land use and buffer zone management, where surrounding areas are managed in a way that protects the core site from external threats. Another principle is balancing utilities, local services, and conservation, meaning development and tourism must not outweigh the need to preserve the site's cultural and natural value. Finally, strong governance, monitoring, and adaptive management are needed to make sure the plan stays effective, flexible, and aligned with both conservation and community goals. So, in summary, developing an SMP requires clear steps, faces real challenges, but can be greatly strengthened by integrating conservation principles. By following these approaches, we can protect important sites for future generations while also supporting sustainable development. Choose tourism, choose UE Manila.